So good morning and welcome to your first session and the beginning of this retreat on peace of mind. I'm sure most of you have come to try to understand how to attain peace and keep it, not just in a meditation session, but also to keep it with the self throughout the day, because this inner peace is what creates the space for newness, creates the space for doing something much more creative with one's life. And we're finding that more and more, and it's really a necessity to be able to keep quiet and be silent within, because it is this silence that refreshes and empowers the inner person, and of course, consequently, the outer person. It is the silence that reactivates and rejuvenates the inner system of the self. And what is this inner system? It's the inner system of our thoughts, our attitudes, and our feelings. This makes up our inner consciousness, and whatever is happening inside there, this is what's going to create my external reality, especially in my relationship with others and with the world itself. So the practice of silence through meditation is taking me back to the original blueprint of this inner system and its effective working, because many people are stressed, many people feel overloaded, many people feel even isolated and alienated because there's so much dependence on the outside. The dependence to find fulfillment, the dependence to be acknowledged, to be valued. But we understand through the art of meditation, the art of creative silence, that first of all, it's the relationship with oneself that's going to be the key that unlocks the door of well-being. And this meditation, Raj Yoga meditation, it's called Raj Yoga because the idea of it is to be able to master how I think, how I feel, how I relate, how I interact, how I express. So then gradually, the violence or the selfishness or the blocks or whatever negative thing there is, either towards myself or towards others, gradually, I start not just to see it, but also to dissolve it. In ancient Greece, some students once asked Plato, what is the truth or what is knowledge? And he gave them a very simple answer. It is simply to remember what you have forgotten. So in silence, we start to wake up from the amnesia that so many people seem to come under at one time or another. The rushing, the pushing, living up to other people's expectations, my own expectations of myself. This produces a great deal of tension and disorientation. So silence, personal silence, gives me the compass, where I should go. What am I doing? Not just in terms of one's big picture, in terms of one's destiny, but also on a daily basis. Where am I going? What do I really want today? What do I wish to improve? So it's a very practical tool for development. And of course people ask, what do you do in silence? What do you do in meditation? But do we do in meditation? Do we think? Do we empty ourselves, or do we fill ourselves? Do we do all of these things or do nothing at all? Do we think? There are many questions. Ultimately, the high point in meditation and silence is awareness. a clean and peaceful state of being. And the words that you heard last night, and you heard them this morning also, Om Shanti. Om is the I am consciousness. And to be really in this now awareness, it's like I enter my eternity. Om, I am. Not I was, I will be, I should be, I could be, I must be, etc., etc. Just in meditation, I am. And what am I? I am a unique spiritual being, a soul. And what is the quality? Peace. Shanti is peace. Again, this is not something that we really analyze or that we really think about. It is something that we are. Because peace means many things. Peace means balance. It means freedom. You know, when I'm free from bad feelings towards the past or towards other people, in that peace I'm free. In peace I am clear. When I don't have judgments about others and lots of criticism and lots of fears, you know, when I'm peaceful, there's that clarity then to be able to know how to participate in life, how to take proper decisions. So the first step is this inward step of connecting with my original peace, but then, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, is actually to start to move outward. But this first step of moving into the self, we call it introspection, is very necessary. On one hand, it's quite easy, but on the other hand, it's quite difficult because many reasons. The habit of rushing outside, of doing in order to feel efficient or valuable, not wanting really to meet myself and always making some excuse. I mean, there's many different reasons. But the first step is this introspection. As we said, the ultimate step, the ultimate point is awareness, this experience of peace, serenity, self-respect, freedom. But because of circumstances, because it's so easy to forget these things, it's so easy also not to quite get it, we do need understanding first. There have to be a few steps before we get to that ultimate state. It's like when you learn a language. You want to learn, I don't know, any language, Arabic or Chinese or Italian or whatever. You can't just be given a sentence or a paragraph straight away. It's broken up into bits. You know, this is a noun, this is a pronoun, this is a verb, this is the past tense. And gradually, one starts to get efficient. And what do they say when you speak well? You start to become fluent. It starts to become natural. So the same way with the language of silence. I start to become fluent on how I refresh myself, how I recharge myself, how I can step in a situation and out of a situation. I start to become fluent in this. But first step is understanding. And this first step is actually a continuous step, but some basics we can learn. So the first step is the understanding. The next step, the willingness to practice. And when there's the willingness to practice and therefore the practice, then there are certain results. See, if there's wrong understanding, there's wrong practices, and then there are not such good results. And this is why I need to experiment. And one thing you'll be doing in your meditation laboratories is actually these steps of understanding something deeply, and then experimenting with it, and then seeing how it goes. And so now I'll just talk to you a little bit about certain things of understanding, what actually happens in meditation, at least the Raj Yoga meditation. As we said before, we there's introspection, that's the first step. Like, I unplug from the outside. I sit very quietly and I unplug. I disconnect from the rushing, the pushing, the excessive thinking, or sometimes very useless interactions, and I sit quietly with my own self. And what happens when I start to sit quietly with my own self? When I start to sit quietly, then it starts to reduce all this, all this excessive thinking, excessive feeling, excessive analyzing. I start to become quieter and still. But then some people say, but I can't do that. How do I sort of a sudden just unplug and sit quietly if my whole day or my whole personality is to do, speak, think, act. How do I do that? Which is a very valid question. It is a bit difficult just all of a sudden to sit still and quiet. So again, I need some steps. And again, that steps is linked to understanding. So the first understanding of being able to sit effectively quiet is, yes, whilst I'm unplugging, whilst I'm disconnecting, I'm also connecting. Connecting with what? Connecting with my original blueprint of peace. Remember, Om Shanti. I am peace. Peace is the original quality of every human being. Everybody wants peace in one way or another. Some more, some less. Of course, this is one needs to have a bit of faith also in this. Someone will tell me, they told me once, I sit peacefully and I do believe I have this reservoir of peace deep inside. But they say, but then a thought comes up that maybe I'm, hypnotizing myself or kidding myself, or if I'm not doing that, I'm thinking, well, yes, I start with I am soul, I am peaceful, I'm disconnecting. And then the thought comes, are you sure you can be peaceful? Look how you treat your husband and your wife. And then a thought comes, I'll be very peaceful after Christmas, then everybody's gone. Or I'll be peaceful when, my spouse goes to work, or when the children grow up, or when I don't have so much work to do. But I've got to catch a bus soon. How can I be peaceful? These thoughts may come, but then I've got to be very concentrated. Gentle, but determined concentration. And this is why I must give myself space and time. Because it is, the easiest thing, the most easiest thing is to always find the appropriate excuse why I can't. My mind doesn't concentrate. The children are too demanding. My work is too... what do I prioritize? I can always find 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Because I will find that if I become clever in making excuses, I will not effectively practice and I will not be able to learn. I just won't. And that goes for anything in life. It's not just meditation. So, back to step 1. I'm disconnecting. I'm connecting with my original quality, my original blueprint, peace. I am this. Not to think I should be, I could be, I would be. In that silence, just that faithful thought. The thoughts are reducing, just a few thoughts. Of course, when we really get into the experience and the awareness, I don't need thoughts. But nobody is that advanced or that concentrated. They can just keep quiet and go straight into a state of peace. It's very few. And so now, actually, rather than talking about it, let's do it. I'll go with you with a little bit, go through these steps. one by one, and let us go into this consciousness and to this awareness of Shanti, the original peace of the self. So the first step in meditation too, well, it's the first before the first. Sit comfortably. And actually, if you can't sit cross-legged, which is not necessary at all, actually it's better if your feet are firmly on the ground. The back is fairly straight, not rigidly straight, but comfortably straight. Arms, legs, waist, just relax. Because it's very important to relax the body, and then it's easier to start to relax the mind. So I relax. I sit quietly. I disconnect from everything external. And with one thought, just one thought, I connect with my original self. Who am I? Who am I truly? Am I all these thoughts, all these actions, all this busyness? Am I this role? Am I this name? Am I this nationality? I relax. And as I relax my mind, as I go deeper and deeper into silence, I begin to feel that I move away, I move beyond the external things and systems, and I connect with my inner system, my original attitude, my original quality of peace. Om Shanti, Shanti. I am a spiritual being. I am a point of living energy. I am peace. Peace. As my thought, so my consciousness. Peace is harmony. Freedom. Peace is balance. Contentment. In this peace, I feel at one with myself. Serene. Tranquil. Om Shanti, Shanti. Peace. Serenity. And inner silence. Peace. serenity, and silence. 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 So the silence and the peace takes practice. And actually there's a point beyond silence. And that point beyond silence is called stillness. In that stillness, nothing is moving. No thoughts, nothing. Just a stage of feeling very full, very complete, of being peace, being serenity. So there are a number of stages which you will experiment throughout these days. But actually, one other question sometimes people ask, can you have silence when there is noise? How many of us can go away to sit on a mountaintop or to the sea in the forest every day. Very difficult. Ideally, it's nice, great to have external silence because it does facilitate internal silence. We feel in nature her religion of natural religion of harmony, peace, coherence. Nature has this. This is why we love her so much. But in the everyday life, where we're living in the cities and many responsibilities, we actually do learn to be able to create and sustain this oasis of silence inside ourselves, no matter the noise that is happening. The main thing is not to be pulled into negativity. And for that I need a practice. And I need two particular qualities: observer and participator. To get into that inner stage of being peaceful, it's possible after a time to do it even in a moment. It doesn't take a long time. And sometimes we have to make very quick decisions in our life. But if we make those quick decisions based on emotional reactions, the consequences may be very bad for a long time. So it's a vital thing. It's not just a luxury silence, because sometimes people say, oh well, when I finished everything, or when I'm 60, or when I'm something, I can learn to do all these things. I remember when I was starting this, I was very young, in my very, very early 20s, and when I went to some places, they would say to me, but you're too young for all of this. Wait till you're much older. Have a good time now. I didn't quite understand what they meant by a good time. But definitely, if we cultivate this practice of observing and not reacting straight away, just creating that space it's a space of respect for myself and the other. And if I learn to observe rather than quickly react, I will start to get the clarity to know how to participate well and effectively. Again, it's a practice. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen just by trying to do it once. Practice, especially when I start to see the good results, it starts to encourage me to keep doing it. It's a refinement. Everything takes refinement. So definitely not to think that I can only be silent where there's no noise. Even here, you will find that when you're in your probably laboratory group, there will be some noises going on outside. But I can inwardly detach where they don't affect me. And that's for everything. Even people, you see them, hear them, all of this, and sometimes they may not be pleasant things. See, but don't see. Hear, but don't hear. It doesn't mean I become numb or indifferent. It means I'm just observing to discern the best way to respond, or the best way, to participate. So silence is very helpful in this, and also not to wait till there's no noise and then I can be silent. I don't think you'll find a day when it's like that, or a situation. So this is the first step we did of moving inward. In everything there has to be a balance. And of course, the balance is only possible with the physical, with time, with others, when the basis is spiritual. So the first step is to go in and position myself as a person, as a spiritual being, in the right way. It gives the self-sustenance and makes me more effective as a person. Now the next step, and this is the step usually it's done quite wrong, if you can use such a word, wrong. I would say probably it's done unconsciously and it's from habit, is that we move straight away horizontally. Actually, most people don't even turn within and position themselves. Their life is just horizontal, to jobs, to people, to situations, and this Complete horizontal living sabotages me over and over again, you know? I lose my dignity, I lose my happiness, I can become very dependent, you know, I can become very hopeless. So, to overcome this sort of negative horizontal movement, the first step is to turn within. Because we do need horizontal movement, that's definite, to the others and to life and to people. But the steps before that, and this is what we do learn in meditation as well. So that was the first one. And the next is the vertical movement. And in meditation yoga, this, you know, this vertical movement is the connection with the supreme source of peace. And different cultures, different people have different names for this. We don't have to go into the detail of it. We just know there's benevolence, there's non-violence, there's acceptance in that source. Sometimes people call it nirvana, the place. Some people, it's a being. But the best way I can compare it with is the sunlight, the sun. You know, sunlight is for all the life on the earth, you know. Sunlight will not go just to China, or just to Africa, or just to Australia. It's for all, at different times. And life, whether it's a tree, a plant, or a person, takes that light, and that light becomes a catalyst. It's like the seed of the rose. The seed knows what to do. It knows what's inside. The light acts as a catalyst. In the same way, sometimes when we're trying to make this movement inward and stabilize, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's rather difficult. But if I make this vertical movement, I'm able to get also cooperation, the divine cooperation, in the form of peace, in the form of light, in the form of love. Again, I don't want to label it too much because, you know, it's not a matter of philosophy or belief or labels. It's just to know that there is a point of reference in the world, a point of light that everybody has the right to tune into. And when I'm able to tune into that point of reference, into that light, that also helps a lot. It helps me to remember. It starts to activate. It's like, I remember my father once, he had a whole a jar of seeds. I don't know what they were. I don't know if they were cucumber seeds or whatever. But they were there for quite a few years, and he had to make sure there was no light or water got into them. But once he decided to plant them after some years, planted them, the light came, the water, the earth, and then they started to grow. What was in the seed was in the seed. It knew how to be a cucumber. No, what is in me as a soul is unique, and it is individual. Not in an egoistic way individual, but in a very natural way, you know? It's like everybody has their uniqueness. And, you know, when you have a spiritual uniqueness, you have an attitude of respecting other people's uniqueness and cooperating with it. Whereas a very egoistic person, you know, doesn't respect, doesn't recognize, thinks they're the best, and that's it. So when we speak of spiritual uniqueness, it's another thing. But anyway, when I move vertically, then the spiritual light, the divine light, is able also to activate this. Because sometimes I'm not able to recognize myself. I'm not able to remember myself. I need a nudge. I don't know how you translate that into other languages. A nudge means a benevolent push, a sweet push, you know. And so this light coming into the self helps me a lot, but I also at the same time have to be responsible. It's not a dependency. I'm aware then, and I have the power to become responsible for myself. It's a partnership. And then the third step to create sort of this, it's like a triangle. The self, the Supreme Source, and the other, this triangle of energy has to circulate very, very well. Then I am empowered to move horizontally. Now the other, it can be time, matter, material things like money, etc., people, work, relationships, and moving to the other, whatever it may be, that also helps my growth and development as a person, as a human being. I can't develop just being in silence on my own. I empower myself, I get the power, I get the ability to think more clearly. And what happens through the power of silence, through the inward and vertical movement, we start to become more generous, have more understanding, more tolerant, more open, less fearful, less rigid, less closed, less stressful. Not just our mind opens, because in meditation it's not just the mind opening, it's also the heart opening. And so when there's this genuine openness without dependence in it, without wanting things, which is a difficult thing, isn't it, to get over, then when I relate horizontally to people, to my work, it flows, it's much more flowing and it's balanced. I don't seek to take anything, for example, that I need the approval of this person, or the achievement in my work is the measure of my value as a human being. These types of thinking and thoughts have gone when the inward and vertical movement is working accurately. Then when I relate to the others, yes, I express, I learn, I share, I grow, I develop. And especially in relating to others, one thing that we learn through meditation, and it comes actually very naturally, we think before we speak. And I remember one time, I think it was Daddy Janki, she said actually, she was telling us, because we were quite a few years doing meditation, she says actually this is not enough either. Think before you speak, you have to also think before you think. And I was trying to figure that out. How can I think before I think? And she was saying this, can't you also observe your thoughts? Or are you just caught up in your thoughts? Or you just put a brake on your thoughts? You, the soul, you, the being, are also creating your thoughts. So watch what you create. Because thoughts are a seed. And once you plant the seed, whatever seed it is, and then you water it with your attention and your belief and many other things, it will start to grow. So in the same way, when I am empowered, then when I step into life, I'm careful of the seeds that I plant, whether they're thoughts or whether they are words. For example, there's someone at work who pushes my button all the time. We all have this, don't we? No matter how sweet, nice, understanding, tolerant, flexible we try to be, there's always somebody who becomes our teacher, And, there's different ways to react to this. The old way, who do they think they are? And the big one, it's not right. That's a big one, eh? It's not just, it's not this, it's not that. And then if I plant that seed, when I plant the seed of dislike for the outside, then I will water it with prejudice. For example, I will water it in such a way that I will always think and see the things that support my negative vision in the first place. This is what's going to happen. If you don't like somebody, you're always going to see what's wrong with them. If you like somebody, no matter what they do wrong, you go beyond it and tune into their good things, their good qualities. So as a meditator, as a practitioner of life, I'm very careful. I'm very careful of the seeds that I plant. Because once you plant that seed, then really all these other, either if it's a positive seed, the positive inner system will start to work, the right thoughts, the right attitude. And even if sometimes the right attitude or thought comes, I can check it, I can check that thought and make sure it's not planted. It doesn't sprout any seeds. So in a nutshell, because it really is a nutshell, this is what meditation and silence how they can help us personally to achieve that personal light and enlightenment inside, that inner peace, how we can connect, have this vertical movement and connect with the divine. And then, of course, to the drama of life, the play of life, because we have so much interaction with people, and the basis of human life is relationship. It's the source of our happiness and purpose and fulfillment, as it is also and can be the source of our biggest disappointments, sorrow, and discontentment. I can't cut it away, but I can improve, I can know myself better, and then know how to integrate. Because silence is an integrative energy, it's not a separation energy. And silence I will never do just for myself. By consequence, the consciousness I create inside will spread to others. Of course, that happens also if I do it, if I'm negative, that happens. Whatever I am inside, that is what I express. And so, meditation is, it is personal, but by its correct practice, it will also be a collective experience. If I'm in peace, and I've cultivated that, won't it be a collective experience for the people that I'm with? They will feel peace, they will feel acceptance. Don't feel my pressure, of wanting too many things from them. So anyway, this is in a nutshell, and I think you'll have a lot of good opportunities for experimenting, and all of the facilitators that are within your laboratories, feel very free, to ask them what works, what doesn't work, what I don't accept, what I accept, what I don't understand. One shouldn't be hesitant because one's thinking, oh well, I'm not doing it quite right. No, everything's right, because from everything we learn something. So what I do now is finish off with a meditation. Yes. I'll finish off with a few moments meditation, and then Margaret will come off with some announcements. And so we did the inward movement. Now let's do for a few moments the vertical connection. So again, sit comfortably, and you speak to yourself when you're doing this. I sit comfortably, I relax my breath, I relax my body, my legs, I relax my thinking, and I move inward. I move into silence. I connect with my inner system, my soul self. Who am I? I am a point of eternal energy. I am peace. PoM, I am. Now, in this second, in this one thought, I am. I am a being of peace. Shanti. Peace. Peace, harmony, and silence. Peace, harmony, and silence. And with one thought, just one thought, I move in a second vertically, and I connect to the source of eternal peace, benevolent peace, universal peace. And as I connect, I feel the current of light, of love, of peace. And as I absorb, I remember my original self, my original relationship with that one, and my original relationship with the world, with my brothers, my sisters, with time, with matter. But now, in this second of time, let me remain in this awareness of being connected to the source, a gentle, deep connection, the link of living, of life. I remain here in this awareness, peace, light, and silence. Peace, light, and silence. Stillness. Still. Peace. Shanti. Shanti.